Welcome to Authentic Educators channel, where we will be discussing today early literacy. How can we take a regular book and really make sure that we are preparing children to become avid readers, love of reading, and great readers? She's going to introduce herself.
My name is Keon Brady. I am just a little background. I've been in education about 10 years. I have a master's in reading and writing. I am a reading specialist. I am an instructional coach currently. And I just love to learn more about how students become literate and, more importantly, fall in love with reading, and then how we can help as educators and as parents.
And she's also an entrepreneur. We'll talk about that a little bit at the end about her entrepreneurship. Today, what we really want to do is try to break it down and make it easy to make sure that kids are getting what they're needing, but without having to stress or spend a lot of money to make sure kids are reading and have that love of reading.
Early educators think that, what can I do for that? Like, these kids aren't reading, they're just they're barely talking. But when you get into elementary school, you realize it's so much of a foundation that early educators like yourself impact that you can have on kids for the rest of their life based on what they learn from birth to age 4 or birth to age 5. It's huge research there. We'll talk about some of it here, but it's a lot of things we can do to kind of get that foundation set. And they've had people in their lives to make them want to read more. Then it's easy to teach them how to gain information from what they've read, because they already love reading. They already have the foundation set. But what you're gonna put on the screen, we're gonna show you it's the reading rope. There are a lot of different theories about how students learn to read. The one that resonated most for me, it's based on the two things that skilled readers have to learn how to do well. They have to learn word recognition well. So that's the letters, the sounds, the blending, the recognizing the words. That's the word recognition part. That's the part that you may say a 1-year-old is really too young to gather, which is, true. We don't have to start teaching kids to read at 1. That's a part of the road.
But let's back up. The part that you're going over right now that's on the screen is the part that they get later when they get to elementary school.
Or later pre-K.
Yeah,
they learn
pre-K.
letter sounds and what letters look like, and
But not necessarily for that 0 to 3 space necessarily. It depends on the child. But you have to know what you're building to in order to do what you need to do. I think that's important. Okay.
So there's 2 parts. There's the word recognition part, and there's the language comprehension part, and we'll go more into detail. But you'll see on the rope, there are strands that make up word recognition, then there are strands that make up the language comprehension. And you can't have a skilled reader without both of those things. So if you have a really well-spoken child who has a lot of background knowledge but can't decode, you can't have a good reader. If you have a kid who can decode like the back of their hand, they got that down pat. They can read anything you put in front of them, but they don't have the background knowledge or the understanding of vocabulary. Again, you don't have a skilled reader. There's 2. So today our main focus is going to be talking about that language comprehension part, things that could make such a strong impact if they get that information early and they start practicing those skills early. So part of the language comprehension part are things like background knowledge. So we know that's the information they're coming to us with. Sometimes they're coming to school with limited background knowledge because we have some of our students who haven't traveled every summer. They haven't read the books. They don't have someone taking them to field trips or to new experiences. So their background knowledge is limited. That's something we can get through reading. I have read about many places I haven't been to, but I've experienced that through literature. So that's huge.
You can travel all over the world by reading.
Yeah.
And you can become very learned or student of all types of things just by reading.
Just by reading.
Yes. And then 2, I'm just going to input. Okay, so for as far as our 0 to 3 space, they're not really they're coming with background knowledge, but limited background knowledge. So it's very important to read to our younger babies because we are exposing them to the world, into words, into experience through words, through books.
And so many things that we'll give them, you'll think they're too young for that. You're going to read them books that's going to go above their head. not realizing they're a sponge. I know you like to say their brain is like a sponge. It's literally getting bigger.
It is, it's growing.
And we talked before, you want to talk about the connections.
The connection. So the brain, whenever you hear something new, you see something new, you learn something new, we have pathways and we have little connectors that light up, right? Mm-hmm. And so when a kid is younger, the more they see, the more they learn, they build more pathways, right? It's like little lines that go like this, right? Mm-hmm. And then once you start connecting those things, mm-hmm. then they light up. And so and physically, like the brain from that 0 to 5 space is literally like physically mm-hmm. really growing. That is the most that the brain will grow.
So that's huge. Mm-hmm. 4 or 5.
It's almost huge. Like
while a kid who's read to and spoken to more is gonna have a larger vocabulary, even those kids are only able to speak a small fraction of the words they know. So talking to them, you're not wasting your time talking to a baby they have stored up so many words to use later. Like they are just literally holding on to it until they can say it, and it's just that developmental stage. So you're pouring in and pouring in and pouring in, and they are literally just holding on to it until they can give it to you in a little while. So.
Yeah, and that's why sometime in the early childcare space we have so many language delays, because those kids are not getting the language spoke to in a manner that where they can get those words and hang on to those words. So therefore they have a deficit.
You'll see on the screen is language structures, and that's something we won't talk about too much today, but that's again a modeling type of thing. We talked about it before. It's like sometimes we use inappropriate words, or sometimes you'll see your children mimicking you putting on makeup. You didn't teach them that. You didn't sit down and say, hey baby, let me show you how mom puts on, but they're watching everything you do. So that part of that language structure, that's dealing with how sentences are made, how the English language works, how you form things to make sense. So we're not going to explicitly teach that, but they're listening to how we speak, and then eventually they'll model that.
Mm-hmm. And then that's why it's so important to like read, right? So when you're reading, and the kids at that age are for pronouns, they are saying he for she and she for it, and putting things backwards. But when you read to them, they hear how the sentences is supposed to be structured verbally. And so that's why reading is so important at a young age, because they are learning how to form sentences and learning how to speak based on what they hear.
Just
right?
What they hear.
And so that's why that's so important and easy to do.
On your diagram, you'll see when it's posted, verbal reasoning is next, and that's asking them questions about is this person a good friend? What makes you think that? Would you want them to be your friend? So just the kind of questions we can ask to make 2 and 3-year-olds think about what they're reading and about characters and about situations is huge. And then,
for example, right? So when you're reading to a 1 or 2 or 3 or however, you can pose it as a question, or you can ask them a question. Okay, you can say, well, is he happy or is he sad? And they say happy. Well, how do you know he's happy? Because he has a smile on his face, because he's playing with his brother and his brother. That's inferencing. That is inferencing skills. And with younger kids that can't really respond to you can say, look at his face. We know that he's happy because he's smiling and he's playing with his brother. So when you play with your brother, you're happy. You're kind of giving them the information to help them inference when they're younger.
And then the last one is literacy knowledge. So that's print concepts. And this again is something that I know I've heard you do when you read to your kids, showing them the front of the book, the back of the book. Is it upside down? Things that they'll play with. And that's not even things you have to come out right out and tell them when they're 2 and 3 and this is the title. They can handle it.
You just model it.
But they're seeing, oh, the pictures go this way. Oh, when she reads from left to right, and then the word. Like, those are things that you don't have to teach even as parents, because, we're busy. We're not expecting parents to give a full-on reading lesson. But they pick up so much just from you doing it. So the most important thing is just doing it. And doing it correctly when you're reading a book. But I do, like you were saying, this is the front of the back, this is the front of the book, this is the back, this is the spine, this is the title, this
just read the title and I go word for word like it's supposed to be read. The illustrator, they draw the picture. The storyteller, they write the picture. So I actually go through all of that.
And that's so cool that they're getting that, and that's part of what they test for and what they look for reading readiness in pre-K and kindergarten. Do they know the way the book goes? Do they know the words go left to right? Do they know if the book is upside down? So that's all things that show that they've been read to. They have experience with books.
The fact they're building their memory muscle, which is very, very important in reading, because as you read longer passages and books, you have to be able to retain and comprehend and retell what you're doing when you're reading. And that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So that's a good skill. How many words a kindergarten should know or a person should know, and why is that?
Vocabulary is one of the biggest predictors of reading skills, but it's a huge predictor of reading success, and then it's a huge predictor of even like college readiness, SAT scores, ACT scores, and stuff like that. So the way vocabulary works as far as read aloud, you're exposing them to words that they may not hear every day talking to you. So your vocabulary is constantly growing based on what you're surrounding yourself with. There is a study that says kids who don't get read to going into school, they have about a 300,000 word vocabulary. Kids who are read to just 10 minutes a day go with almost 1 million more words.
1 million.
10 minutes a day. Almost 1 million. 1 million. That's huge.
And that makes all the difference in a person's life. It correlates to the job they will have, how they get in college, what classes they will take in college, what they will major in, how much money they will make as an adult. It is tied into so much. Just vocabulary. And that's part of building their background knowledge. Those two things go hand in hand, because when you get older, the more text you read, you're going to be exposed to a lot of different things. And building that background knowledge to make meaning out of new experiences that keeps building their background knowledge. So when they're coming with limited vocabulary and limited background knowledge, you'll see that strand. So even if you teach them good word recognition, and I'm able to decode the word, that's like reading a pharmaceutical textbook. I can decode the words because I know how to read, and I don't know nothing about what this means. You're like, what?
Because even if I'm a good reader and this hasn't been developed, but my teacher went off and my teacher taught me all the phonics rules and all the syllable types, and I can break up a word like nobody's business, but I'm missing this vocabulary and background knowledge, I'm still behind.
You still behind.
I'm still behind.
You're still behind.
So they work hand in hand.
Very much so. Is when you read, to make sure that you're enjoying reading, that you're reading with animation, and you're stopping and you're asking, well, you said don't stop, really. Not too much.
Yeah, I said the first time you read, as somebody who gets excited when they're reading, and especially when the author is using funny language, and I want to point out everything I see as a teacher to them. Did you notice how they said this? Did you notice this? They get lost in the sauce. So you have to, when you're reading them, give them one good read, one good fun read, change your voice, make it exciting, be enthusiastic about what you're reading, be surprised, laugh. So give them one good read so they can enjoy it, and then go back and ask questions. Kids love being read to. They'll listen to a book over and over again.
Yes.
So just give them one good read. And I was telling Leora, when I first started teaching first grade, I felt so awkward reading read aloud, because I'm like,
which I can't believe.
No, I can't.
That is so surprising to me.
I could not, and it was boring. It was dry. What I did was I got on YouTube and I watched other teachers do read alouds who I thought were really good at reading aloud to children. And so do that. I mean, the information's out there. Watch another teacher do it.
Yeah.
And if you're not good at it, still do it, because they still need it. Still do it as best as you can. But then listen to other teachers read.
Yeah.
Let them listen to some read alouds and strive to get that 10 minutes a day. Get the 10 minutes.
Just 10 minutes. 10 minutes will change the direction of a child's life. It's short and sweet. If you want more information or you need more help, you can reach out to us. We are more than willing to help you. And if you don't know what books you can choose or how to go about asking questions, Miss Brady here she has something great for you. Would you like to tell them about the greatness of you? Or the greatness of your idea?
Yeah. Okay, so first, if you have any questions, I do have the Instagram on there, but it's the Mrs. Brady's Bunch _ that's on Instagram. And my project that I'm working out is called Cultured Kids Book Box. So I know that's one of my biggest regrets as a parent for my own kids before I knew all this stuff was I didn't read to them every night. I didn't know what books to read. I didn't know what to do. So I'm coming out with a book subscription box that will be hand-picked books by me. It could be theme-based. It could be just a wide variety of those books that we want to give them the different experience. It could be nonfiction. It could be about occupations, historical, cultural, just plain fairy tales and fun books. So picking books every month on a monthly or bi-monthly basis. And then you'll get a parent guide of some questions you can ask your kids, some vocabulary you can pull out if you're feeling fancy, and just an overall good support for parents to be able to do. We all want to do what's best, and sometimes we just don't have the tools. I didn't have the tools to do it. So just a little bit of encouragement for parents, a little bit of support. We'll have a private Facebook group. But if you want to be informed on what's going on, just follow me on Miss Brady's Bunch _ and that information will be posted there, and I'll have all the updates for the Culture Kids Book Box.
And I'll link it in below about all your information, how you can be contact. And now you keep saying parents, but I know the family home providers, because that can be lonely, and a lot of them don't have the same background as you, the background knowledge. So that will be also a good way to introduce reading and really do it in a way that is beneficial to kids.
Yeah. And if you have a child care center or a early literacy home, I know Leora is a great support for that. And if you have any other questions or want some training or anything I can help you with for that, I am open to just talk about something that I love to talk about anyway.
All the time. So anything books, she is the person. What books to read? Where can I get? Oh, the last thing, and two, we're talking about where you can get books. You can go to the library, because sometimes we think we have to buy books. You don't. And sometimes they give away books for free as well. And also, we were talking about if you have a phone, then you can get on social media and ask anybody, hey, I have a toddler, I need some books. You will be amazed how people will bring you books.
They have those read alouds online. I will bring books. If you don't have any books and you're trying to start a library, I have books that I need to get rid of out my house. I have
brand new books, not used books.
To Leora, she won't even accept any of my books anymore. So people are willing to help. That's important. Most libraries even have an ebook they have an ebook catalog. Not as good as kids holding books and touching them and see how you hold them, but it's better than nothing. Right? Information in their hands.
So again, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. Remember, 10 minutes makes a difference in the life of a child. 10 minutes. So if you do nothing else, read to your child, if you're a child care provider, read to them. We appreciate you. If no one's told you that you love today, let me be the first to let you know we love you. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.